A, Texas, we're not prepared for this, number one. But B, if you don't have a home and you're living out on the street, like where do you go if the shelter is full? And so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about like how cold they get at night.
So I listened to a podcast and they were talking about like us as Texans not being prepared. And the guy said, he said, people in other states looking at us like, where are you guys winter coats at? And he's like, you in Texas, he said, if you want a winter coat, he said, you better make varsity.
Welcome back to another great episode of the Vision Lab podcast in its partnership with Nexum Creative. I'm your host, Ryan Cuffey, alongside my co-host, Mr. Ryan Mosley. The Vision Lab is the official growth mindset podcast for all visionaries worldwide, showing mad love to the cigar community. It's here in the lab where we uncover people's developmental paths through people's visions and dreams and how those dreams come into reality. It's all about tapping into and becoming the best version of ourselves through self-discovery, self-examination, and self-actualization. Yo, Mo, who do we got in the lab today?
Today's guest is a resident of Houston, Texas. She is an author, an educator, a content creator, and most importantly, she is the host of the show Confessions from a Red Couch. Please welcome Janae Strickland-Nunn to the Vision Lab podcast.
Hey guys. Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem. We appreciate you answering. The power of social media again. I think we've both kind of been watching each other from afar, and it's finally good to make this happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Certainly happy to have you on, Janae. And now, are you a Black nerd?
Yes, I am. Black nerdy and queen, as you see on my shirt.
Love that. I love that.
To what extent does your nerdiness go?
Well, I am first and foremost, my day job, I am a science teacher. I teach physics and chemistry. And so I know how to blow things up and, make things move. That's what I like to say. And then I'm a huge Marvel fan, not just the movies, but like comic books as well. So give me that and life is great. And I'm always trying to explain the unexplainable because, that's science. I love it.
Let's back up here. First of all, I love how you just lightly tossed in that you teach physics, which is like, this isn't your basic math or algebra. Like physics is tough, and then to compound on that, you do chemistry as well. Like, wow, that's incredible.
Thank you. My dad always called me I'm the nerdy child of the family, and I just embrace it. I never took it as anything bad. I was like, yeah, I'm smart.
And I love the Marvel thing. Like, I'm a big Marvel fan. Which one of the Marvel characters are your favorite?
Okay, so right now, are you watching WandaVision at the moment?
So I was kind of boycotting it at first because I kind of felt like, I really like the movies that they do, and I don't want to see them. And I know that they're doing it, that they're transitioning into, not, I guess, sitcoms or whatever you want to call them, but like, and I understand why they want to start telling a longer story. You can do that by having seasons, but I just grew such an affinity with the movies because the movies are absolutely incredible.
Yes, they are. I love them. I love the movies. But you need to get into it. They're not like, I know there used to be, they try to tap into a couple of things like with what was it, Agent Carter, how they had that sitcom, and it was another one, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
These are totally different. Like the ones that are on Disney right now are telling and making connections that you never, that you can't get in the movies because you can't have a 4-hour long movie, every time.
And truthfully, I'm definitely gonna give in, just because I'm a fan of the series Marvel itself. But right now, I mean, we're talking about like shows that we're watching. My go-to, and it's kind of funny because of the weather, the way it's been the last couple of days, is Life Below Zero, like on Disney Plus. Absolutely, if you haven't checked that out, it is absolutely incredible. I want everybody to go watch it. And it's so weird. I was talking to a buddy of mine last night who I just got into it as well. it's the storyline isn't like super creative. It's literally a repetition of things that are done over and over and over again. But for whatever reason, it is so captivating. And so, Life Below Zero is what I'm checking out on Disney Plus. But after I get done with that, I'll probably jump into WandaVision and get into the other series that Marvel's coming out with.
Yeah. And it might be good too, because if you like to binge watch movies, if you want it to flow, then I think that would be a good idea. Like just to wait till they all the episodes come out. That way it feels like, one continuous thing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that you're into Marvel too. So, but we didn't bring you on the show here to talk about Marvel. We brought you on here to talk about Confessions from a Red Couch.
Mhm.
Absolutely love it. First and foremost, the title. Where did that come from?
Well, as you see, I have a red couch. I'm actually sitting on it. When I was going through like a really tough time in life, about 5 or 6, it's 6 years ago now. And I had a time where my doctor told me I had to stay home, and I was having an issue with staying at home. And so I started blogging. And when I was blogging, I would always go, the red couch was actually in my front room. I would always go sit on the couch, the red couch in the front room, and blog and kind of use it as like a diary to get my emotions and my feelings out. And I started sharing it with other people, and it was just called, Janae's blog, like generic title. They were like, "What are you going to call it? This is good." And I was like, Confessions from a Red Couch, because I'm on a red couch and I'm confessing. So
I thought you were having a ton of girlfriends come by and spilling out all their tears over a relationship or life issue or whatever. So, but no, I love that. I love that. So it started off kind of this blog, this diary, this ability to share your thoughts out into the world.
mhm.
How therapeutic was that for you?
Very, very. And while we're talking about therapeutic, my therapist, because I had to get a therapist at that time, I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. So I had to figure out a way to think out my issues. And I started with a therapist, and she told me, she's like, "I love the fact that you're blogging, and getting, just everything out." Because I was a person who would hold everything in and try to control everything and my emotions. And just once I did that, like I was free to talk about everything. And it's funny how you said, with the girlfriends and all that stuff. Now my friends, that's what they use me for. Like they come and they do sit on the red couch and we have a good time, and we talk openly. But I think it took that me just doing that and opening myself up to everyone else to let them know that okay, they can relate to me and understand, and she can understand what I'm going through.
Yeah. And you've been killing it too, by the way.
Thank you.
We'll kind of talk about some of the things that you're doing here in a little bit, but um, first and foremost, so all of our visionaries that don't know Janae and Confessions from the Red Couch, like when does it air? What kind of what's the overall theme, the arching theme of the podcast, and how can they get a hold of you on social media?
Okay, so it airs every Wednesday at 7 p.m. It usually drops a little bit earlier than that, but that's where it populates all the major listening platforms. And you can find me everywhere, anywhere that you can listen to a podcast. You can find Confessions from a Red Couch. And uh, so the content around it is we talk about self-love, self-care, and improving the relationship with yourself. So, and that's the tagline. So you don't take your trash to others. So, if you don't have a great relationship with yourself, you can see that spill into your other relationships. And we just want to, it's all about loving yourself, knowing your boundaries, knowing yourself. So when you look at your friend group, or, you could better relate to your family members, you do a lot more things and improve those relationships as well.
You've got you like us now. You've got a pretty extensive catalog,
Yeah.
and like you say, self love, self care, getting to know yourself. What have you discovered about yourself along the journey so far?
That it is a journey. It's not like I have arrived. That's everybody thinks that's what self-love is and self-care is that once you do it, that's it. You've arrived and you're good. I learned that I change all the time not who I am in my core, But as situations change, we change and we grow. And you always have to do that self-reflective part to see, okay, so this has changed. So how are you going to adapt to it? How are you going to change with it? Because you can't be stagnant when things change.
So are you finding yourself oftentimes talking about what you're going through or what your close relationships are going through, and then being a beacon of light for those that may be experiencing that through the airwaves?
Yes, I do. I pull a lot of content from personal experience. Also, I do my research and I see what other people are going through. I see what like 2020 was crazy. And I just
Man,
and so I was just I would ask people like, how are you doing? What's going on? Where are you at mentally, emotionally? Where are you? And just build that content from there.
I guess we probably should get into this since we're uncovering everything about, Janae and Confessions from a Red Couch, but what made you want to get into actual podcasting? I understand that, there were some health issues and you had to
Mhm.
sit down and be a little bit more stagnant and stationary, but why podcasting?
I have a great team, like family and support system. And when podcast came out, I was like, oh, that's cute. That's good. And I was a guest on one of my friends' podcasts. He talked about movies and entertainment. And I went into the studio and he was like, see how easy that is? You should do one. I was like, no, I'm good. This wasn't something I was like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, no, I'm straight. I'm good. I just keep typing. And then I got married. I met my husband, got married, and he brought it up. He said, you need to make it into a podcast. And it's like, oh, why? For what? People can read it and they're good. He's like, people need to see you so they can they can really relate to you, see who you are, know who you are. I was like, I guess. So 2 weeks after we got married, I started the podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
2 anniversaries back to back.
Yep. They hit. Boom, boom.
So one of the things in regard to the show and some of the stuff that we've talked about offline is this whole thing about a journey to loving yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like you're a teacher, right? So you're around the youth, but at the same time you've got a lot of experiences dealing with people.
Yeah.
What have you, what's the word, gathered or learned, if you will, when it comes to not necessarily your personal journey, but just people's journey in general when it comes to loving themselves? So I think it's a really it sounds super simple, but a lot of times we find out that people really aren't necessarily in love with themselves or don't really have the highest regard for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. I learned people don't know how to. They have no clue what it means to love themselves. They think, well, I pamper myself and I go shopping and that's loving myself. And it's like, no, no, let's take a deeper look at that. Like, how do you actually feel about yourself when you look in the mirror? Like, what do you see? Do you like things? Are you always trying to change stuff about yourself? Or are you embracing that? And that's what I see, even with in like teaching and just people around me. You always hear them say, well, if I could change this, then I'll be a better person. But it's like, how about you embrace that, and see how you can improve it, but really see that that's who you are. That's part of you. And then figure it out from there.
So why is self-love such a journey?
Um, it never ends. Like I said, it never ends. And I know for women or just people in general, I'm not the same person I was at 25, and you aren't either, and I'm not the same person that I was at 28, 10 years ago. I'm not that same person, and neither are you. So it's a journey because as you grow and as you learn, you have to continue to embrace who you are and love who you are as you continue on this life's journey. I wish it was easy. I wish it was, hey, I'm the same person. I'm never going to change. And it's like, nah, you got to do.
Well, no, we don't want that because
Yeah.
life is not about staying the same.
Mhm.
If you stay the same, you stay where you are.
Yep.
Life will pass you by very, very quickly.
Exactly.
Um, So you were spending some time on your red couch, and which gave birth to a blog, and really a therapeutic way for you to get your thoughts out on paper. Um, and that's where you really would you say that's when you really started to get to know who Janae was?
Yes. Yep. Honestly and truthfully, I really got to know myself through my blog. Um, and and it was good because when I was going through that time and I was on like medical leave from my job, y'all, and I tell the story and people laugh at me because I was a teacher and a coach. And so I could not step away and let other people do what I told them to do, you know? So I was sneaking back up to the school, still trying to coach and teach, and I was supposed to be at home. So I was risking my life to do something dumb, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so it was, I got caught. The athletic coordinator of my school caught me. He knew I was supposed to be at home. He said, the next time I see you up here, I'm gonna have you escorted off campus by campus police, and I'm calling your mama. And that was kind of a wake up call for me. It was like, why can't I just stay at home and make sure I'm caring for myself? Why do I have to risk my life to to do something anybody else could do? It doesn't matter. You know, if I were to die today, somebody else would take the position. So why can't I just stay home and love and take care of myself? What's wrong with me? So
Hmm.
that was kind of a wake up call, like, girl, you gotta get this together. You tripping.
Cuff, what
Well,
do you always say about like when it comes to working for other people? Like they'll have your job posting online before your
Mhm,
obituary is ready. What's the phrase you use?
yeah, I mean, if you pass away, to exactly what you said, they will have your job posting faster than your obituary can hit the paper.
mhm. Yep, and that's what I had to get an understanding, like, my work, I am not my job. Who am I? Like, you know, I had to find another, just who am I as a person? Who am
Well,
I?
this is interesting. Like, was it more of a passion for the kids and teaching, um, or a pursuit of being great at whatever it is that you're doing? In this case, coaching and teaching, or was it you not taking care of yourself? I'm sure it's a combination of both, but I mean,
Yeah.
what was more, heavier or heavily weighted for you? Could
Uh,
you
I
decipher
think
with a passion?
it was a passion. It was a passion of being great. It was the type A personality that nobody else can do it but me, you know, and I will let that get in the way of me taking care of myself, you know, and that, I mean, I get greatness. I get it. I love, you know, I'll tell you my family history one, you know, one day. I get greatness, but I also get that in pursuit of your passion, in pursuit of your greatness, if you are not mentally well or physically well, what does it matter?
Got a point. Um, Obviously, you are a stand up woman of color, if you will. When you set out to put this into a podcast, right? It's taking your words and turning into an audio form, if you will.
Mhm.
Obviously, of course, you were speaking to Black women or whatnot, but can you kind of open up a little bit to us in regard to like not necessarily who you made the show for, but like what you thought this was going to do for the Black community?
I thought it would make people a little bit more comfortable with knowing that it's okay to not be okay and to get help. You know, because a lot of that, uh, a lot of the stuff in the Black community is, and it's gotten a little bit better, but you know, we pray about it and let it go. Or, you know, we talk about therapy and people are like, you don't need therapy, go talk to your pastor, or, you know, just something like that. And there's things that you can't pray away. You know, there's stuff that you can't just lay on the altar. I believe God put therapists and doctors here on earth for a reason,
Mm.
you know, and that's for us to get more help. And so when I started the podcast and I started the blog, I started all of it. I just wanted people to know I see you, I feel your struggle. It's okay to get help. You're not the only one out there, you know, and it's okay. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to, you know, shut down for a little bit and know that and get yourself together. It's all right.
I'm curious to know, now that you've been doing this for quite some time, Have you found yourself considering going into being a therapist or a counselor, psychologist?
One of my friends told me I should, but I guess I love teaching so much and I love putting into students. This now, if I could get them to learn this in their teenage years, what I learned when I was, grown, and they can apply it, I feel like that's a better thing for me to do. But, it's always a thought in the back of my head. Do I want to go back to school? No. Oh, I got 2 master's degrees. I don't want no more. I'm good. I'm good.
I hear that.
Well, before we continue pushing the ball down the road, if you will, Cuff, allow me to say thank you to everyone who helps to take care of us. Edwina Brown and the family at Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge. The address is 215 West Kent Wisdom Road. EB, we will see you soon. Obviously, with the weather and everything, we can't wait to see you. Tim and Crystal at Class A Vodka, thank you guys so much for all your support. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not had a chance to get your hands on a bottle of Class A vodka, we stand by it for a reason. The slogan is class in every glass. Once you taste it, you'll understand. The Instagram handle is at Class A_vodka, I do believe, and Class A is with a K. And last but not least, obviously the entire squad of Dallas Leaf LLC, whether it's cigars, charitable events, entertainment, the whole 9 yards. Make sure you get with Dallas Leaf if you're looking to put something on as far as an event is concerned. They show up in numbers. Ron, Tash, Sheree, like we appreciate the entire squad. Thank you guys all for your support. We appreciate it.
So you brought this blog into reality and made it into a podcast. You're getting things out. You're therapeutic. When did you discover that there was a really big need for this within the African American community?
I think when you see others who reach out to you, because I was very open about going to therapy, and I had a lot of people asking me, "Girl, you go to therapy? You crazy?" I said, "I might be." It wasn't ever. It's like I don't know. I feel like we treated the way people were thinking about me after I got therapy, or I was open about saying, "Hey, I got a therapy appointment, so y'all can schedule things around, that, but I'm not missing that." Made that a priority. So people were like, "So how is therapy? What do you do? What is it?" And I was like, "Girl, you just go in and you talk, and you have objectives and you listen and you get good advice." And so from there, I just decided I kind of put a poll out there on my regular, how social media was on my regular social media. I was asking how many people actually go to therapy or know, what happens in therapy, or, how many people. I would ask questions about self-reflection, how many people actually journal. And a lot of people were saying, "I want to, but I don't even know where to start." or just the whole journey. Like, I don't know where to start. And so I figured, hey, maybe I can start putting things together to help the Black community out.
One of the things that you do that I think that's just not necessarily your audience, but just the Black community in general, you are part of the Black Pod Collective. You've got your hands all over that. Can you talk to us about your role with the Black Pod Collective?
I don't know if I have my hands all over it, but I am blessed to be a part of it. The creator's Ona, she is just amazing. She's based out of Atlanta, and that's the only thing I could tell y'all is that she is amazing. The way she organized things and she gets things done, I'm like, girl, I want to be like you when I grow up. But she invited me. She knew I was a blogger and she wanted somebody to be a part of the content team. And she had this idea in her head about how she wanted it to flow and go. And she contacted me and I was like, I'm in, I'm all in. I love the fact of, presenting resources to the Black community to help us grow, especially in the podcast arena, so that, there's a resource, there's tools out there. And from then on, I've just been, helping out with creating stories. A lot of stories, a lot of blog posts each month, just helping Black podcasters grow. So it's been an amazing journey with that. I say I was blessed to be a part of it because I never thought that I would be, like a contributing writer or anything for anybody. Nah.
That's awesome. Now, real quickly, for those that are not familiar with the spelling of Black Pod Collective, can you put that
It's
out there?
it's BLK Pod Collective. And you can, if you just Google it, it'll pop right up. Their webpage is the blackpiecollective.com. There is a membership tier, like you could join, it's $5 a month, and you get all these amazing resources. They have membership like meetings every month. They also have workshops that, I mean, are amazing. They're about to have um, a conference coming up in March. I'm not sure. I gotta remember it because my mind is all foggy based on this week's craziness. But in March, they're having a conference over the business of podcasting. And so they're going to get into like the meat of the meat. And that's what I love about Black Pod Collective. It's not a lot of fluff. It's not a lot of, just, well, if you come to this next thing, you'll get this information. No, it's always straightforward, giving you what you need for where you are.
Absolutely love that. Love that. So you said something earlier, talked about, you writing so much for Black Pod Collective. Obviously, writing is in your background now, and it's something that you enjoy doing.
Mhm.
You wrote a book or two
I did.
or three.
I did too.
Okay. And so, what's the deal, Janae? Like, why do you not want to promote your books?
I love writing. That's number one. Number two, it's the book is called The Journey Back to Loving Yourself. It's kind of like a guide for myself. That's what it was really for. Something that I could always look back over, and if I lost my way, I could get my way back from reading that. The reason why I don't promote it like I should, I'm getting better at it, is because I don't feel like I have, I know I have content around all of this. I know I have all of this stuff. But when it comes to, I don't want to present anything to people and say, this is law. This is,
I don't
mm,
think anybody would think that in this day and
yeah,
age. I mean,
yeah.
we live in such an opinionated society, but
Mhm.
I think you need to promote it. I think you need to push it out there. One of the things about the Vision Lab is that we want to give a voice to the voiceless, right? Like,
Right.
think about how many people out there have a voice and have some great words or content or can be inspirational, but they're holding back one of their gifts. And so
True.
I love that you've written these books and touch and inspire lives based off of what you've experienced.
Mhm.
You got to promote that thing, girl.
I am. I'm gonna do better. I said in 2021 I was gonna do better than what I did last year because I finished the second edition. I actually went back and rewrote the first edition because I didn't like the first edition at all. But I went back and put a little bit more love into it, a lot more myself into it, and I said, "All right, you're not gonna hold back. You're gonna talk about it more and tell people about it, and you're not gonna hide it." Because it's like you said, it's something people need. So,
So real quick, what are the names of the two books? And
mm.
then I know you gave one of them earlier, but what are the names of the two books and where can they find them and purchase them?
It's just the same book, just a different edition. Same name, different edition. So the recent edition out is still called The Journey Back to Loving Yourself. It's a guide to self-love, self-care, and self-awareness. So see, I added a little bit more. And you can find it on Kindle. It is an ebook. It's on Kindle. If you Google the title, it'll pop right on it. Um, and yeah, it's a good read. I love it. I go back and I read it. I love the second edition more than I like the first edition. How about that? Tell me about your amazing platform.
I don't know if it's amazing, but
It
we
is.
certainly strive. Oh, thank you. We certainly strive for that every day. The Vision Lab podcast, as many of our visionaries know, is really a growth mindset podcast. Where we talk about mindset, we talk about the will to win, succeed at life, all while kicking back and having a cigar with one of our guests. And this came to me, gosh, is it 2018? Is that right? 2019.
December 2018.
December 2018. Mo and I used to, and he'll tell the story in a little bit, but we used to work together. So I reached out to him, and we ended up at a cigar bar, hanging out, smoking for 3, 4, 5 hours. And the idea came to me because, similar to what you do, right?
Mhm.
Where you started to do a lot of self reflection on your red couch, and you were looking for an outlet, a way to express yourself, right, creatively, and in a positive way. And I kind of felt like my voice was suppressed. Um, you know, Probably personally, professionally, and internally as well. And I wanted to break the shackles. I wanted to break the chains. I wanted to be a little more vocal. I didn't know what that looked like per se, but I reached out to Mo, and at that time, I was really, really hot and heavy into like Tom Bilyeu, and it was right around the time that David Goggins came out with his book, "Can't Hurt Me," and it was just super impactful, right timing, kind of in my life. And like I said, we got together, we chopped it up for several hours, we put it together, put it on wax, and was like, okay, got to get it out there to the market. But it's a place where people can come and learn more about themselves, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, whatever. And we just try to hit on that and inspire others to be, to find the greatness that's within themselves. Because I truly believe that everybody has greatness within themselves. It's up to us to unlock that code or that key.
I like that. A lot of people don't. A lot of people think that their, purpose in life is just to live and be here, but we're all here for a reason. Whatever that reason is, I feel like it needs to be pulled out and it needs to be done because
Yeah,
if you who said this? I'm trying to remember his name. I can't think of his name right now, but he would talk about not living your purpose and not living your dreams, and what would happen if you would die today and all of the things that you're supposed to do were around your room, around your deathbed. How would
yeah,
that make you feel? Because whatever happened, whatever you have within you, if you don't use it, it just dies with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I
So
mean, since being on this track and this journey, like you hear a lot of like similar type stories or personal
mhm.
anecdotes, but the one that got me was, you don't want to get to heaven and look at the greatest version of yourself,
Mhm.
and you guys not being closely related. Like you
Yeah.
don't want that person to look at you as a complete stranger.
Mhm. Oh,
Like,
that's good.
yeah, it's
That's
dope.
really
It's
dope.
deep.
That's really dope. That's really dope. Mo, can you tell me what it's like to the co-host dynamic? How does that work?
I think it works great because he and I believe in like work ethic, right? Like we're both, college athletes, and he
Mhm.
he knows like the phrase I use all the time is like putting your hands in the dirt.
Mhm.
He and I both believe in that. Uh, he and I have the same goals when it comes to the show and where we ultimately want to take it.
Mhm.
We're both girl dads, right? And so, like, I work in real estate now. And I called him a couple weeks ago. I had just got through seeing a house, and I told him, I was like, dude, honestly, I wake up every day, and all I'm concerned about, literally, my only concerns when I wake up in the morning, I say, thank you, Jesus, when I look at my wife and my baby. But my only concerns when I wake up in the morning are making sure that the other two residents in my house have whatever it is that they need and they're not worried about anything. And he was
Mhm.
like, Mo, I literally just had this same conversation with my wife like 30 minutes ago. So he and I are aligned on a lot of things. When we first were getting the show off the ground, there was a lot of late nights. Do your day job, then we go record with a guest. I remember one time we did 2 episodes in one night, and I don't think we were done till like 1 o'clock in the morning on a random Tuesday or Wednesday night, driving back from downtown. So he and I definitely are aligned on a lot of the same things, and so it works easy because we're both paddling in the same direction. You know, like it's not like, well, he's trying to do this thing and I'm trying to do that thing. Like, no, we're both, you know, we're in the same car. We're in agreement on what direction we're going.
Okay. Okay. Well, you mentioned y'all were both college athletes. I was one too. So what sports and which college? Because I always like to know that.
So I went to Vanderbilt and I played football.
Okay.
And I went to the University of Mary Hardin Baylor in Belton, Texas, and I played football as well.
Okay. What positions?
I was an inside receiver or a slot receiver back when it started to be really the cool thing to do. All these run and shoots.
Uh-huh.
And I played on the defensive line where all the action's really at.
Okay, good. I love football. I tell people if I was born a boy, if I was my dad's boy, I would be playing football. But unfortunately,
It worked out the way it was supposed to.
Exactly.
it
That's
did.
exactly how it should have.
It did. It did. We've had some great times in the house playing football and getting in trouble with my mom because, you know, he'd be like, run this route and then I want you to dive and catch it. And we would do it and we would break pictures. But anyway, you know, that's a girl dad, just craziness. So let's talk about we talked about the growth mindset aspect of the podcast. So what do you want this to be for the Black community? What are your aspirations? We said you want it to be a beacon, but how? Also.
I think you know, we're in this space now where we as a community are more open to therapy, and just the whole mental health thing is like it's on the table now. Like it's not really behind closed doors as it used to be from, you know, the generations from which we come. And so I think a lot of the times when it comes to mental health, it's not even necessarily about quote unquote, you know, dealing with a problem or whatever, something that you're struggling with, but everyone has dreams and goals and aspirations. And we look at it like each one of our episodes, you can listen to one of them and take a nugget or a breadcrumb, if you will, and use it to better yourself on whatever journey you're trying to get to, whether you want to be a fitness model, or if you want to be in real estate, or if you want to make your own cigar line, whatever your pursuits and passions are, you can listen to somebody on one of our episodes and take a lesson that they actually divulge in the midst of a conversation and apply it to whatever it is you're trying to get done. And I think there's a I don't even call it a shortage. There's a shortage, I think, in our community when it comes to people sharing, you know, people like giving out the game, right? Where they're sharing that type of knowledge. Like it's one thing to be like, okay, well, I listen to Kevin Hart or, you know, somebody that we see on TV who's in the public eye, right? But let's be honest, like the everyday man can't necessarily call Kevin Hart on the phone and get 10, 15 minutes of like, hey man, this is what I'm struggling with. You know, it's one of those things to where if you're in the mud, like I call it, if you're in it every day, I think it's a tool to be able to, like, you know what, every Tuesday at 11:30 I can listen to these guys show and I'm going to be able to catch something from one of their episodes that might help me in whatever it is that I'm trying to get done, versus trying to figure out how can I get in a room with Kevin Hart or Jay-Z or Rick Ross or whoever it is. Like that's something that's not attainable, but it's a lot easier for a regular everyday person to touch when it comes to trying to get that type of level of understanding on things.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Mo hit the nail exactly on the head. The only thing I would add is, you know, as it relates to the Black community, I mean, I think that gone are the days where people would, and Mo mentioned this, but like tell stories, right? And be able to tell why or what happened, so on and so forth. So as I look at us as the type of individuals that are putting people on that hopefully not only inspire you to become the best version of yourself, but it's a story that you can then pass on to your kids or loved ones or you know, other people that you care about. It's really been a heck of a ride. It's been a lot of fun being on with Mo, and I'm hoping that you know, not only the Black community gets it, but the world at large, right? And all while we are having fun, while, you know, smoking on a stick.
Right.
You mentioned the word stories, and I can't help but think about it. I went to a town hall meeting like maybe 3 years ago. It was at the infamous Paul Quinn Cuff. And I remember sitting around listening to a bunch of 20, 21-year-olds who were all in college, and they were just talking about life. With it was some former NFL players on the panel, right? And just to hear these young black men just talk about what they're dealing with, what they're struggling with, the questions they were asking, it made me realize, like, I'm about to be 37 years old, and I'm pretty sure that I am the last generation of males to where when I was a little boy and a teenager, I'm of the last generation where you had a family gathering and like the uncles and the grandparents were around. They let you in the back room where all the adult men were, where your job was to shut up and listen. You didn't talk. Like some of the stuff that these kids were asking these guys about, like it was like, man, like I'm asking myself, like, man, you don't have an uncle or a grandpa who would sit you down one day and say, hey, listen here, young fella, this is how things are supposed to go. Like, and they just don't have it. And so to Cuff's point, people sharing their stories and just giving out the game, if you will, in regards to like, hey, this is how you navigate this. Like, okay, you want to start a business. All right. Well, you need to figure out the funding part. Okay. What's your product? What's your service? Like, what do you provide to the marketplace? Like all this stuff. And they were just completely oblivious to it. And it's like through no fault of their own. It's just the time that we're in. And I think, and we're all looking, we're in this space now where everyone wants to have a side hustle or some type of entrepreneurial pursuit. You can listen to one of our episodes and take something from it and it'll help you out. I mean, just from business alone, we got Behind the Dollar. We had a spinoff, and we talk about taxes. We talk about investing. We talk about using Shopify to make extra income. Like you can take something from one of our episodes and you can get better from it.
Yeah. And like you'll hear it in this episode and other ones, but like we try to provide people a roadmap to success or a blueprint for success, right? So if you were to press play on your device, you can listen to it, you can get what you need to get.
That's amazing. I love that. I love it. And you are right. It's um this generation that's coming up, this younger, and I know this because I work with the youth, they don't have that. There were times when men got off work and got together and gathered. They don't do that anymore. They don't gather anymore. Or if they do gather, they leave the kids at home. Or, it's just, I don't really see a lot of community building like it used to be.
They don't. I would say,
Yeah.
I mean, just sitting in the room, just listening to them talk. And it was like, man, like y'all, have y'all never been allowed in the back room with all the adult men and playing dominoes and spades? And like, literally, you just shut up and hold the pencil and you just listen and learn something. Like it's a foreign concept to them.
Yeah, it's a big time foreign concept. So thank you guys for providing that. I appreciate it. I know that much. So we talked about that, that's part of the serving the community. What are the plans for the future? What are future plans?
Oh man, there's a lot. I would say ultimately though, growth and we want to grow both, vertically and in a linear as well, deep and wide. We've got some things near future for us. We've got a golf tournament, so we just started, bringing that back up. That'll be June 19th, 2021. It's a Saturday out at Irving Golf Club. So hopefully anybody that's listening to this, no matter where you are, please drop by and go play around with us. But we've got a number of things. You might start to see a little bit more TVOP apparel and merchandise. So we got our hands on a couple of different things, that we're working on. But we talked about, it being a journey. And I think one of the things that, we do, and we do a really good job of, especially the amount of people that we interview, is we are appreciating the moment for what it is, right? We're appreciating Mo always talks about putting your hands in the dirt and getting it out of the mud. I think we really appreciate where we are in this space, so that whenever we get to where we ultimately want to go, we're not looking back and being like, man, I wish I could have enjoyed that grind, that hustle.
So true.
So we're enjoying the season for what we're in, but there's a number of different plans that we have in the works. And to the matter of fact, tomorrow we'll be over at Blowing Smoke, talking about some things and growing some things internally and mentally. So be on the lookout for TVLP to do some real big things here in the future.
That's exciting. That is so exciting. I love you guys' platform. Like you said, we've been watching each other from afar, and it's like, yo, I love that content. Like it's good stuff. It's you're aligned with what I'm aligned with. So it's all about that positive growth and positive mindset. And your guests are amazing. So here's a question I love to always ask: who has been your favorite guest so far?
And
I don't know about favorite guest.
Uh-huh.
There's a number of people that whenever you leave an interview,
Yeah.
I talked to Mo about this. There's a certain feeling, like a vibrant feeling or vibration that
Mhm.
you get, right? And I remember getting off with Anthony Trucks, and probably Mo remembers this. I was like, "Yo, that was dope!" Like I was all into it, you know. Cat Daddy was amazing.
Mhm.
He shows the show a lot of love, a lot of support. I think our first one, you know, you have to go all the way back to BP in the boardroom.
Mhm.
Um, EB was another great episode. I don't know. There's so many. We're knocking on the door of 100. We'll be celebrating 100 on March 16th, episode 100. So it's just a lot of people, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to sit down with people like you that are doing amazing things in your own space, in your own lane, and imparting that wisdom not only on us but on other people. Right?
Mhm.
We've just been very, very fortunate. But I don't know if I could pick a favorite, Mo.
off the top of my head, I mean, we've gotten to know him now since we've been in this. I remember, when we put Texas episode out. Well,
Yep.
first, recording with him that day was awesome, right? Like, Texas is tied in with the Bacardi brand or whatnot, so we had a great time with him recording. But I remember we put that episode out, and I remember I got phone calls, and people were like, "Yo, y'all are onto something."
Mhm.
And for those who don't know, like go back and listen to the episode we did with Big Tex. It's one of our best ones easily. We took the Cuff said to the beginning. Abel Garcia, um, you know, a true an artist, right? Like some people's like, oh, I'm an artist, and you look at it like, oh, okay, no. When he says he's an artist, he's a true artist, right? He's a mastermind when it comes to an artist.
Mhm.
That sticks out to me. Um, you know, Crystal at Class A Vodka. I mean, just her story. I mean, she went from being like, "Hey, I'm on my deathbed, and if I leave here, there's nothing left for my kids." And
Mhm.
so she decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And the only black woman in the world, to our knowledge, with a French distilled vodka. Um, One of Cuff's big pulls for us was Carlos Reyes, who is a real estate mogul in the truest sense. I mean, he went from being deported back to Mexico twice, and now he's worth like 8, 9 figures or whatnot. So, like Cuff said, I mean, so we're knocking on 100 episodes. It's been
Mhm.
we've had some bangers on there, and it's been like, we definitely, there are sometimes we leave the recording studio or where we're recording at, and it's like, man, we can't wait till that comes out.
Right.
So it's been a great journey so far. So we are knocking on 100, and I'm looking forward to the next 100.
Amazing. 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 That's just, yeah, so dope. So dope. I usually like ask and people do the same thing you do. Like I got top five, because we're creating content, and it not only feeds into other people, but it feeds into you. And it's things that you can pull from. So it's great.
I
That's
think the coolest thing about all of it is like, when we first start planning this whole thing out, we're like, okay, well, who can we get on the show, right? And
Mhm.
so we're both like, okay, well, let's just work our phones, right? And
Mhm.
everyone talks about 6 degrees of separation. It's really only like one or two. Like we've discovered, it's really one or two. Like
Mhm.
we might not know that person directly, but we're at the point now we've probably interviewed somebody who knows them directly or indirectly. Like it's not as far away as you think. But I think it's cool now to where we can call some of these people who have way bigger platforms and a lot bigger reaches than we do, and we can just have regular conversations with them. Like they'll pick up the phone for us, or we send them a text or a DM. They're like, "Okay, hit you back in a hot second." Like it's, Ryan Rayford, who is the territory manager for Drew Estate Cigars. Like we can literally talk to him any day of the week if we want to now. And when we first started, people said, "Hey, y'all need to talk to him. Like he's a really cool dude." His name is Ryan as well. So
Mhm.
it's just been really cool to see things grow in that fashion as well.
That's pretty amazing.
All right, so Janae, you had a chance to interview us, which is really cool being on the backside of that. But we want to finish, I guess interviewing you or having a conversation with you. You asked us this question, which is you're cheating, I think. Um, what's the long-term vision for Confessions from a Red Couch and Janae?
So the long-term vision is just to continue, giving positive content out there to everybody. Also, and at the end of March, I'm putting on a women's conference with a fellow podcaster slash
Nice.
friend. It's called Getting in Focus. So we're going to be focusing on the mental, physical, and just business health of women. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to spin it off and do another one for men. So we're working on that. More conferences, just putting myself out there. And I really want to be able to touch my public, to touch my audience, not just, I want them to see that I don't just talk about it. I really am about it. Like I'm about what I talk about.
Love that. Love that. And definitely want information on the two conferences so we can help promote that as well. I love that you're in that space because you kind of talked about, for us with that question, there's some things that we have brewing that are real similar to what you're talking
Mhm.
about. We've got to work out some of the details. So I'm certainly interested in the back end, like fulfillment side of executing on a conference like that. So we may have to talk
Gotcha.
about that.
Okay. Definitely, definitely. And they're going to be virtual right now until, the world opens back up and we're okay, but they'll
Okay.
be on the virtual side right now.
Still in the pandemic, even though we've
Yeah.
been in this snowpocalypse for the last
Yeah.
week.
Still in as my friends say, a panoramic.
Well, I believe it is time for us to land the plane, Cuff. Do you agree, sir?
Amen.
So this segment, as you know, guys, I don't know, is brought to you by the good folks at Grand Brulot. Francisco, the owner, thank you, sir, for your support. Jameson and the entire squad at the Lovers team, thank you guys for facilitating things. We look forward to really big things in the future, ladies and gentlemen. Grand Brulot is the official cognac of the Vision Lab podcast. If you have not had it, trust me, it is like nothing you've ever had before. As you know, we don't really support or stand on products that we don't believe in. Trust me, it is a great product. Your nearest liquor stores, if not, get with us. We'll make sure that you get in the right direction and get your hands on the bottle. So Janae,
Mhm.
a question we ask everybody on the show. It's you and a round table, and there are 5 other seats. Who are the 5 other people you want at your table? And the only stipulation or caveat, if you will, is that you can't have, whatever higher power you believe in at your table.
Okay. So Oprah, Angela, I'm not gonna say I don't ever say her last name right. Rye, the
Angela
political,
Rye.
yeah, Angela Rye.
Thought you were gonna say
Um,
Angela Davis.
yeah, her too. She could be on
I thought you
there.
were gonna say Angela Bassett.
Yeah, no, not Angela Bassett. Who else? Regina King. Regina King. So that's 1, 2, 3. Um, I am going to pick another one. My 4 times great grandmother. It's crazy. She escaped slavery because she passed. So I want to know like her journey with that. And then my grandpa, I would love him to be at the table.
I love that. I love that. One more time for all of our visionaries, how can they get a hold of you and Confessions from a Red Couch, all your platforms, your website, uh, anything that you want to share?
Okay, so you can go to confessionsfromredcouch.com. That's the one-stop shop for everything confessions, including shirts like this, Black Nerdy and Queening.
Yes.
We got some merch going on. Also, you can on all social media, it's Confessions from a Red Couch. The the podcast drops every week on Wednesday, except for this past Wednesday because it was crazy. But we'll resume this week with more self-care, self-love tips and tricks and all that other good stuff on all major listening platforms and minor platforms. Wherever you find a podcast, that's where you can find Confessions from Red Couch. If you want to be a guest on the show or want to reach out to me, you could DM me on any social media platform. Also, My email address is theconfessionsfromredcouch@gmail.com. Feel free to jump in the inbox. I'm up for guests. I accept guests as long as we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Come on aboard.
Yeah. It's I'll jump into that here in a second, but actually let me go ahead and ask that now. Like, what do you do if you get someone that is not aligned with the spirit of the show or the brand?
Because I know other people and other podcasts, I tell them, you know what, I think you would be great for such and such podcast, and I get them in connection. So,
Yeah.
you know, you might not be right for me, but I know people, so you might be right for them. So I'll connect you with somebody else, but just, you know.
You can't sit here, but I know somewhere.
Exactly. I know another seat I can sit you in.
All right. So if Janae were a book, what would be the title of your book?
Golly. Ooh, a book about the title of my book.
Love to write, so it's really right up your lane. This should be an alley-oop.
No, it's not an alley. Who? I don't know. Like, that is crazy.
Yeah, that's one of the things you're gonna get when you come into the lab. We're gonna make you think a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to say the name of the book will be The Journey of a determined, goofy Black queen. That's what.
The journey of a determined, goofy Black queen. I like
Yeah,
it.
because I am crazy goofy. But
Well, we ask this questions to every one of our guests that come into the lab, and obviously, big thank you to you for jumping in. But what advice would you be giving yourself from 5 years ago?
from 5 years ago, enjoy the ride. There's no such thing as a timetable. Just do whatever's in front of you, work it to your best of your ability, and the rest will come. It'll all come in time.
Okay. Now we're gonna make you a little bit older. In case you don't know, we do have a magical time machine, so we're gonna fast forward the clock 5 years from now.
All right.
You're still looking great, though. I just want to tell you that.
Yeah.
What is the older version of Janae? What advice is she giving you today?
In all situations, be content. You won't always have happy days. You won't always have bad days, but you just need to be content with living and working with what you're doing. Just stick with it, keep working, and everything will work out.
I love it. Love it. Well, thank you again, Janae, for jumping into the lab. Thank you to all of our visionaries. Hey, if you're still listening and tuning in, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell button as well. If you like the content that we dropped today, it's a little different, little unique, go ahead and hit that like button. And remember, each one of our guests are dropping nuggets of wisdom here on the Trail to Life. Ultimately, my friends, it's up to you to pick them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. He is Ryan Cuffey. Thank you again to Janae Strickland-Nunn, the host, creator, end-all, be-all of the Confessions from a Red Couch podcast. We will see you guys next week on another great episode of the Vision Lab podcast.
Blessings.